About 2,300 years ago, although we are not completely sure, there was a great teacher in India named Patanjali. He mentioned 6 aspects, what he called the rewards of inspiration, the things that will be your benefits, your prizes if you decide to move towards spirit, and I want to address each of them in this program. He said that when you are inspired by a grand purpose, an extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in all directions, and you find yourself in a new, grand, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents come to life, and you discover that you are a much greater person than you ever dreamed of being. Those are the rewards. It is not as if you won the lottery, although that could happen, but that is not the point. It is not that someone is going to enter your life riding a white horse or something like that. These are the rewards, the things that will be powerful for you. All your thoughts break their bonds. But what do we mean by breaking bonds? Your bonds are the thoughts that keep you disconnected from your source. They are thoughts that are not in harmony with spirit, with divine consciousness, with God realization. This is basically about being like God, being like the source, being like spirit, being like the divine mind in every thought, action, and connection with yourself. Bonds are ways of thinking that limit us. I want you to imagine a ladder. This ladder has 10 rungs from the ground to the top. On the highest rung is the greatest desire, aligned with spirit. Think about this. This is my desire and it is aligned with spirit. What is your desire? My desire is to manifest abundance in my life, perfectly aligned. We come from an abundant source. My desire is to feel well-being in my body at all times, perfectly aligned. My desire is to have divine spiritual relationships in my life. My desire is to get the job I am working for. My desire is to live in a place where I feel at peace and filled with love. Whatever your desire may be, it does not matter. It is on the highest rung, aligned with your spirit. Now you have to ask yourself, what am I offering this desire on the 10th rung? For this desire to manifest in your life, it must be accompanied by thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are in harmony with it. If they are not aligned, you lose the connection. Thoughts are energy, just like everything in the universe. Einstein said that nothing happens until something moves. The mistake we make is attracting what we do not want because our thoughts focus on it, or we keep attracting what is missing in our life because we are not on the 10th rung. Perhaps we are on the 3rd. What are those thoughts from the lower rungs? It probably will not happen. It is too hard. This kind of thing has never happened to me before. I am not lucky. The economy is bad. I do not have the ability to achieve it. I do not think it is possible. These thoughts generate energies that are not in harmony with our highest desires. When your thoughts break their bonds, your mind begins to transcend the limitations you had previously experienced in your life. You stop seeing yourself as a human being and begin to see yourself as a spiritual being, as the spiritual essence of who you truly are. You literally step outside your body and observe everything from a new perspective. You laugh at worries, insecurities, and small imperfections because you see yourself as an infinite being, not limited by your birth, your death, your height, your weight, your appearance, or your achievements. You stop defining yourself by material things and begin to release what Patanjali called the false self, the illusory self, the Maya. That is not who you are. You are that from which you came. And when you return to that place, you know with certainty that in harmony with God, all things are possible. This is directly in Scripture. With God, all things are possible. Now, I do not know how many people are listening to this, but let me ask you a question. What does that leave out? Absolutely nothing. Nothing is left out. If you can conceive it, know it, and act from that place of passion, then it is possible. Passion is nothing more than love. God is love. It is also in Scripture. God is love, and whoever believes in love believes in me. Love and God are synonyms. God and good are one. There is no difference between them. Think about what is missing in your life. You talk with your friends about it, you focus your attention and energy on it, you fall asleep thinking about what is missing. If you maintain this kind of energy, what is missing will continue to appear in your life, and you will see more and more of that lack manifesting. You cannot focus on what is missing if you do not want it to continue being so. This is the first shift you must make to reach what I call intention. Secondly, if you focus your thoughts on what is, you will continue attracting what is into your life. Now, I'm going to suggest something unusual. You have the ability to place your attention on an inner mantra that I recorded on a CD called Meditations to Manifest. This came to me from a master 2,300 years ago named Pangal in India, who taught people of that time, when not much time had passed since they had come out of caves. He taught people how to levitate, how to bilocate, and how to have the gift of the loaves and fishes 300 years before Jesus appeared on this planet. His aphorisms form a fundamental part of a spiritual solution for every problem. Back then, Pangal suggested a meditation called japa. This meditation consists of taking your attention and inner energy away from what is and directing it toward what you wish to manifest, repeating the sound found in the name of God as an inner mantra. By repeating this sound, you attract the outer energy that comes from the source from which you emanated, so that it cooperates and literally collaborates with you in transforming that which you wish to manifest. You can use this practice for money, for becoming pregnant if you have not been able to, for selling your house, among other things. If you look 300 or 400 years later, John the Baptist writes in the New Testament, "At the beginning of the gospel according to John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Strange as it may seem, the repetition of sound as an inner mantra is a way to place yourself in the void, attracting those latent forces into your life so that what you need can manifest. I tell you from the heart, it has always worked for me. It is a very powerful meditation practice. I cannot count how many people have been practicing it, including some like Gary, who spoke with you today. There is absolutely no limit to what you can attract into your life by practicing it. I have taught it and recorded it on a CD titled Entering the Void. I have also donated all proceeds to charitable causes because I was asked to teach it without earning money from it, something I have done for several years. If your thoughts are on what is, for example, an illness such as cancer, arthritis, the flu, or a cold, and you say to yourself, "Today I have a slight cold, but tomorrow it will be in my throat, the day after tomorrow in my chest, and by Thursday I will probably have a fever. I will have to take Friday off." Then you have already programmed your mind to think that way and to focus your attention on the current circumstances of your life. Abraham Maslow, a great teacher and guide for me, taught about self-actualization. He passed away on June 14, 1970, at the very same hour that I was receiving my doctorate in Detroit. Maslow said that self-actualized people have this characteristic: they must be what they can be. One of the secrets to success and inner peace is that you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Your mind has created everything you call problems in your life. Highly functional people who live at extraordinarily elevated levels of consciousness do not focus their thoughts on what is if they do not like what is. If you look at people with difficulties, you will see that they constantly center their attention on their problems, on what is wrong, on what is not working, or on what they cannot do. They talk about it, they focus on it, and when your thoughts are on what is, that expands and you continue to attract more of the same. I remember a patient who came to my office and said, "I got divorced 7 months ago, and I have gone out with 4 men. They all treated me like a sexual object, without respect. After the first date, there was no interest from them. She asked me to talk to those men, but I told her there was only one common denominator. She was attracting what she was projecting. This is known as the Jop effect. You cannot think about what is missing or focus on what is if you do not like it, unless you want it to remain that way. Nor can you put your attention on what has always been. If your thoughts are in the past, you will continue bringing more of the same. Imagine a boat sailing upstream at 40 knots. From the stern, you look at the wake the boat leaves, which is the trace of what was left behind. That wake does not power the boat. The movement of the boat is determined by the engine and the energy in the present moment. In the same way, the past cannot define the direction of your life. If your thoughts are on what has always been will continue to manifest, even if you do not like it. You cannot think about what is missing, about what is, or about what has always been, and you also cannot think about what others want or expect from you if you desire change. These ideas are key to aligning your thoughts with your highest desires and manifesting them in your life. There is no shortage of people who have an opinion about what you should or should not be, or about how you should do it. Most of these people are your relatives. I have in mind a wonderful book I would like to write titled, Your Friends Are God's Way of Apologizing for Your Relatives. However, when I speak with your relatives, they also laugh, because we all share this idea. Many young people I have worked with over the years say, I am not achieving what I would like because my parents want this, they think that, or they do not let me do certain things I always ask them. Why are you so attached to what your parents think? They reply, they are my parents and I have to. Then I tell them, you do not have to. You can listen to their opinions, take them into account, but you do not have to embrace them or live according to them. And this applies especially when you are already an adult. If there are people who convince you that you should or should not do this or that, you will continue attracting exactly what they have in mind for you. If you focus your thoughts on what others want for you, you will feel how that energy affects you negatively. People such as in-laws, mothers, fathers, grandparents, children, neighbors, friends, or co-workers often have opinions about what you should or should not be. If you do not like the advice they give you and you feel resentment, that feeling will harm you. One of the 10 secrets for success in inner peace says, there are no justified resentments. Resentments are things that destroy you. If your thoughts are focused on what others want for you, and that is something you do not like, you will use the energy of the universe to attract more of what they desire, even if it bothers you. There are 4 things you cannot do with your mind if you want to enter this state of intention that I will talk about tomorrow. You cannot focus your thoughts on what is missing. You cannot focus them on the circumstances of your life. You cannot focus them on what has always been. You cannot focus them on what others want for you. You must learn to take a leap into the inconceivable and place your thoughts only on what you wish to manifest for yourself. Every thought you have is energy, and everything in the universe is energy. When you have a thought that weakens you, as Hawkins brilliantly explains in Power Verses, force, that thought affects your strength. The 10th secret says, wisdom consists of avoiding all thoughts that weaken you. Thoughts can strengthen you or weaken you, depending on what you are thinking at any given moment. The instant you introduce something into your body or enter the energy field of someone negative, this affects your energy. Tomorrow I will talk more about this, and I will do a small demonstration. Everything in this universe is energy. I have the prayer of Saint Francis on a card produced by a woman who lives in a wheelchair. It is enough to be in her energy field to feel her impact. If someone holds these words close to their body, they could be strengthened. Energy is in everything. One of the most powerful ideas to raise the energy in your life is to bring a higher energy into the presence of a lower energy to strengthen you instead of weakening you. This idea was written on the wall of the ashram where Mother Teresa lived, and it goes like this. If you want to know tonight what to do, what to think, and how to draw this energy to yourself, listen to these words. As I mentioned, the money raised with these cards goes to help this woman who intends not to depend on others. You just have to place this card somewhere, and as you pass by these words, the energy affects your children just as music does. Even carrying the CD with you can have an impact. That is why I knew that Sky's CD would strengthen you instead of weakening you. You can carry with you the prayer of Saint Francis, which she sings on the CD, and play it in your car during a moment of frustration or distress, like in traffic. And you know what? Even the traffic might flow. I know you laugh and think something like this is impossible, but there is nothing you cannot do when you shift your energy from energies that weaken you to energies that strengthen you. This was written by Kent Keith and later echoed by Mother Teresa. She said, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What takes you years to build, someone may destroy overnight. Build it anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the best you have anyway. In the final analysis, everything is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Albert Einstein, speaking with his students about solving mathematical problems and equations, said, "You can never solve a problem with the same mind that created it." This is sometimes called in management thinking outside the dots, or thinking outside the box. It is stepping out of your comfort zone, looking at things differently, having a different kind of awareness. Recently, I came across this quote: "Moving the clouds does not make the sun shine. It simply reveals what was always there, hidden. The sun is always present. There is something inside all of us that is hidden, the ability to rewrite our agreement with reality. This requires a new kind of awareness, a willingness to see yourself as someone potentially capable of almost anything." I have always liked the New Testament observation of Jesus. "Even the least among you can do all that I have done, and even greater things." Within each of us exists the capacity to be healers, to manifest and attract anything into our lives that we focus our attention on. There is also the capacity to live at such a high level of consciousness that we can transcend our bodies. My way of being has always been to assume responsibility for any problem I have in my life, but also to recognize my capacity to change it. Not only to change what does not work for me, but also to transform what I'm attracting into my life. I believe everything begins with this idea of inspiration. I have always liked this word, inspiration, because its origin is in spirit. Its opposite would be information. When you are in the physical world, in form, you receive information, and we are in what we call the information age. However, I believe we are moving from the information age to the inspiration age. In this new age, humanity begins collectively to think of ideas that empower us instead of weakening us. According to Hawkins's research, until 1985 or 1986, humanity's collective thoughts generally produced weakening effects. But in recent years, we have advanced toward a level at which our collective consciousness empowers us instead of relying on force. As we move into this world of inspiration, we must understand what it means. Patanjali had a wonderful observation, which I wrote in Wisdom of the Ages. When you are inspired, that is, in spirit, you enter the world of thoughts, where you can change and create everything you desire for yourself in your life. The point here is that you cannot solve any problem in your life with the same mind that created it. You are now entering a place called spirit. What is seen does not come from what appears. We are entering the world of the invisible. When you are inspired, you lose any sense of fatigue. I have experienced moments of inspiration in my life in which I have written for almost 24 hours straight, without stopping, without eating, without sleeping. I simply entered that state we sometimes call the zone, where everything flows. In that place, you transcend everything. You do not worry about whether someone calls you, about your children, about being sick or tired. When you are inspired, you are connected with your source. You move from the state of inform or information, where all problems arise, into the world of spirit. The more flexible you are, the less rigid, the more you can accomplish. This is especially useful in parenting. The Tao says, the more rules you make, the more rule breakers you create. It is true, the more rules you have at home about how things should be done, the more problems can arise. In our house, my wife kept a big jar full of chocolates and colorful nuts. We did not give our children sugar or soft drinks, so those sweets were more decorative. From time to time, someone would take some, but they were rarely replaced. When children came from other homes where they were not allowed to eat such horrible things, their behavior was very different. They would take them in large quantities, fill their pockets in bags. They would say, "Do you mean we can take these sweets whenever we want?" I would answer, "We do not have strict rules about it. They are simply there. We neither encourage it nor forbid it. It is something that exists." Ralph Waldo Emerson had a wonderful line, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." Many people will say, "If I say something on Monday, you can be absolutely sure that on Wednesday I will believe the same thing, no matter what happens on Tuesday." Yet Tuesday could bring us something new that justifies changing our mind. Being flexible is essential, and much of what the Tao teaches centers on leadership. Leadership in the family, in the community, and at the geopolitical level. Less rigidity, more openness, more willingness to listen and to say, I have changed my mind. A rigid consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. What I believed on Wednesday can change because something important happened on Tuesday. Another important thing we should learn to say to our children, to our friends, partners, or co-workers are the words, I do not know. Saying I do not know does not hurt, and it gives us a sense of peace. Sometimes my children ask me questions, and I answer, I do not know. They say, Dad, you know everything. But I tell them, I do not know that. Let us go find the answer I spent 20 years running, every day for 22 years, 8 miles a day without missing a single day. Some would say that is obsessive, but I used to argue, you brush your teeth every day and no one says that is obsessive. However, I learned that even in the world of exercise, there are practices that make us rigid, hard, inflexible. We lift weights, we run, we do intense workouts, and we call it training. But there is another kind of exercise, an ancient one that goes back to the time of Lao Tzu, yoga. Yoga means union with your source. By practicing yoga, you can accomplish the same as running 8 miles but without moving from the spot. For 90 minutes, by stretching, being flexible and not rigid, you can sweat as much or more than by running. Moreover, the feeling is completely different. When I used to run marathons after dinner, as I got up from the chair, I felt how my body was stiff and needed time to move. That no longer happens because I have stopped being hard and rigid, and I have embraced flexibility. Now I live a softer life and a less ferocious one. Listen to this verse from the Tao Te Ching, one of my favorites, number 76. A man is born soft and weak. At his death he becomes hard and rigid. All things, including grass and trees, are soft and flexible in life, but dry and brittle in death. Rigidity is the companion of death. Flexibility is the companion of life. And this applies not only to exercise, but also to the way you think. Having reached this point, subscribe to the channel because I am going to upload the full program and more parts from our mentor, Wayne Dyer.